Welcome to Conservative Viewpoint, where the truth always matters. Your hosts are Charlie the Country Conservative and Brendan Statler from The Brendan Statler Show. Now on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conservative Viewpoint, the podcast where we'll dive deep into the heart of the southern border crisis. I'm your host, Charlie, the Country Conservative, and co-host Brendan Statler. Go ahead.
And I'm Brendan Statler from The Brendan Statler Show. Sorry.
Today we are peeling back the layers of this complex issue that reverberates across our nation and so many lives. I want you to picture this: a vast expanse of arid desert stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. It's a place where dreams collide with desperation, where hopes meet hardship. This is the front line of every battle that transcends borders, a battle for survival, dignity, and humanity. Our mission is to untangle the web of failed policies, politics, and human stories that intersect at this border. We will explore the faces behind all of this, and the border agents who work tirelessly, and the communities caught in the crossfire of Biden's bloodbath border. This episode, we'll talk about how mainstream fake news media is complicit in the border invasion. We'll also talk about the Venezuelan and Chile gang that has already entered the U.S. They are the biggest gang that has ever seen, the most dangerous gang. We'll also talk about bombs that were left in Afghanistan and how they are now in Mexico. We're going to talk about how many immigrants that Mayorkas has lost since they've crossed illegally into our country. We'll also talk about a little town in Texas, Eagle Pass, and the border agents that are protecting our borders. And if we get time, we're going to talk about the death of the NYPD officer that was just murdered by an illegal immigrant. So buckle up, everyone, because the Conservative Viewpoint is your passport to understanding, empathy, and informed dialogue. So let's navigate this crisis together, one story at a time. Now, on with the show. Good evening, everybody. Hope you had a good Tuesday. I'm Charlie. I am the Country Conservative.
And I'm Brendan Statler, and I'm finally back in my actual studio as opposed to doing it over my cell phone in a car yesterday. So today is going to be a little more structured than yesterday was. And also some good news, we're up on Twitter today. We weren't able to get Twitter to connect yesterday, and we missed a good portion of our audience on Twitter. So we're up today. So that's real good news, to say the least.
So what are you going to kick us off with today, Brendan?
Well, the biggest story that I think right now, I'm going to reiterate real quick what I said yesterday, just for those that are listening now that probably weren't with us yesterday. This is a story that virtually nobody in the media is talking about right now. So to the audience, if I were to tell you that Nebraska, a red state, could possibly cost Trump the election, what would you say? You would probably think that's nuts, right? Well, the reason is because the state of Nebraska does not do winner take all, where all the electoral votes are awarded to the winner in the presidential election like 48 other states do. Maine also does this by congressional district like Nebraska does. So I think Nebraska is worth 5 electoral votes total. So Donald Trump is likely to win the state. So Donald Trump will get 4. But there is a district in Omaha, Nebraska that consistently votes Democrat and gives the Democrat candidate a free electoral vote. Barack Obama's team in 2012 referred to this district as Obamaha because it consistently goes blue. And that this is what we have to eliminate, because just assume this for a second. Now, I know there's a lot of supposition in this, But let's say, for example, that Trump were to flip the state of Georgia red, and Arizona, and Nevada. And let's say that Biden were to carry Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. If Joe Biden picks up, and of course, Trump would win all the other states that he is most likely to win, and Joe Biden would win the other states that he is most likely to win. You know, Joe Biden winning California, Washington State, Trump winning Texas, West Virginia, Ohio, states like that. If Joe Biden were to pick up that one congressional vote in Omaha, Nebraska, it would be a 269-269 tie. It would then go to the House, and they would decide who wins the election. However they do that process, I'm not quite sure to tell you, because it has never happened. It's unprecedented, but this is how the Constitution has it set up. Congress would debate it, and they would determine the winner if that were to happen. So many of you have been following a lot of the rhino fake Republican swamp creatures bowing out of the House, diminishing our already razor thin majority. We are very close to Hakeem Jeffries becoming Speaker of the House. Do you want Hakeem Jeffries presiding over that proceeding, deciding who the president is if it's a tie? I think this is the biggest story in the national media right now, and virtually nobody is talking about it. Charlie Kirk was the one that sounded the alarm on this, and others like Dan Bongino started picking it up, and Steve Bannon, these type of guys started picking it up. The governor of Nebraska, Jim Pillen, is in full support of this. His team actually issued a statement today. Or no, they spoke with Charlie Kirk over the phone. This is on Charlie Kirk's show, saying that they are 100% focused on making Nebraska a winner-take-all state. So the governor is saying he's in support of it. The problem that we are having with making Nebraska a winner-take-all state at the moment is a lot of slow walking from Republican legislators in Nebraska. They're trying to push it to next year. Well, that's not going to do us any good, pushing it to next year. So what the governor of Nebraska needs to do right now is call a special session and force them to debate on this right now. So, and phone lines for the governor's office in Nebraska have been blowing up. I actually tried calling yesterday multiple times, could not get through. The lines are busy. And his team issues that statement today, or says it to Charlie Kirk over the phone. So apparently they are feeling the pressure. I say we need to keep up the pressure. And this isn't just for anyone that may be listening to us in Nebraska, if we have any. This is a national issue at the moment. Call the governor's office and tell him that you have his back in this. Tell him that you were in full support of Nebraska being a winner-take-all state, because this very well could determine the outcome of the election.
Yeah, this is why we do these videos, because we cannot have this.
No, not at all. And you see how desperate the Democrats are, because Joe Biden today is coming out with a new plan for student debt relief, which is going to take the student debt away from the blue-haired person doesn't know what their gender is, studying North African lesbian poetry, and passing it on to all of you that do not have any college debt, or if you did, you paid it off, or you're continuing to pay off your own student debt. You're now going to have that student debt to worry about too if this goes through, because there's no such thing as free money. But far too many people, especially my age group, and I hate saying this, but there's more of me than you think there is, but there are a lot of us that are just freaking stupid. They really think that the government will loan them money to go get this education. And it's done. Like that, you really think the government's going to give you money and they're not going to want their money back. It's just that does not happen. Somebody is paying that back, and it's every single taxpayer that is going to pay that back. Like I said yesterday, I'm a college student right now too. but I want to pay my debt and be done. I don't want to be paying for all these other idiots.
They don't care. That's the
No.
problem with that. They don't care
No.
one bit. As long as they don't have to pay it back, they really don't care who's paying it back, because it won't be them. Because I did
I'm scared.
have one.
I'm scared to see how much I'm in debt, honestly. I haven't looked at it. I'm scared to see it.
My son's was over well over $100,000.
He went for 8 years though, didn't he? He went for
But he's got 10 years in right now.
That's what I thought he was getting.
Now he'll get his PhD. But I had one in here that about the kids wanted all their debt taken away, and it's like they don't really care, like I said, because somebody else is going to pay it. They don't have to pay it, and that's all that matters to them.
Or at least it appears like they're not going to pay it. You're going to pay it in the end, believe me.
Oh yeah, eventually
you're going to pay it.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. It says Gen Z wants student loan forgiveness without any accountability, and they're trying to tell them it doesn't work that way. A blanket cancellation does nothing to combat the problem of student loan crisis. It would only serve as a further incentive for students to attend colleges that they can't afford.
Yeah, it's the whole. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you still reading? Go ahead.
Just a little bit here. It says, my generation has a political problem. We gravitate towards quick fixes for massive problems that plague our country. The generation raised on instant gratification, to little surprise, is looking for the same in politics and in government. So these people don't have a clue of what goes on in this country, and don't have a clue of how things are paid back once they're given to people.
No, and this is the whole participation trophy generation. Most of these people never had to deal with any consequences or accountability.
Yep.
So it's the me generation. Why do I have to pay it back? Why? That's how most of these people in this generation think. It's just, God, I sound like an old person saying that, but I mean, it is. It's the truth. It's, there's no accountability. It's all about me and what I want to do and what feels good at the time. That's all it is. They want to go for whatever useless degree they want.
Absolutely.
I can't think of a funny one to say right now. That's what I was trying to think. But they'll go for some useless degree that's, predominantly woke. All these universities are completely woke. So, they go for this and then they don't want to pay it back, and they're expecting the rest of us to pay it back. I'm not paying for your indoctrination. There's no way.
That's for sure. So everybody, if you have an opinion on this, go ahead and leave it in the chat. So any questions, comments, appreciated, and we will get you an answer. But we do want to know your opinions on everything that we talk about. And if you have something, please leave it in there, and we will get to it. Brendan can watch them better than I can on his side. But we will get the answers back to you as soon as we get them, and we'll get them hopefully while we're on here, because these shows are only an hour. When we do our primetime elections and stuff, they're usually a couple hours long.
Or they're 5.5 hours, like that one night. That was a long night.
Yeah, November general election, that will be a long night. But we have a couple primaries will be coming up here soon, and I will put out some advertisements stating when we're going to be on. So, but please don't hesitate to leave questions, comments, and chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from, so we know how we can base some stuff that we talk about off of where people are listening in from. You have anything else on your side on that part?
Nothing at the moment. No.
All right. Well, now we're going to get into how the mainstream fake news media is complicit in our border invasion. Now, the mainstream media is complicit in Joe Biden's bloodbath border invasion. And this is the thing that Trump is using it constantly and is trying to get everybody else to use it, because it's causing a bloodbath in our country.
Absolutely.
So the immigration has emerged as the top issue in the country because Joe Biden's wide open border policy, which they keep saying every time you turn around, it's a safe and secure border. The hell it is. It has turned every community, every city, every state in this country into a border state community. Noting that Biden's reversed all of Trump's policies on day 1 and 2, including the Remain in Mexico policy, which Trump had everything shut down to 17,000 people a month. We're lucky we're under 300,000. And that's a big problem I see happening. But on day one, what's that?
No, I was just going to say it's amazing how they still say it is a safe and secure border, but the very next day they'll say that the Republicans are refusing to pass this border security bill, which doesn't do a damn thing with border security, as we know. In fact, it handcuffs Border Patrol even more, and sends money over to Ukraine, by the way. But who needs details? Right. But anyway, but they'll say the border is secure, but they'll say that the Republicans are refusing to pass the bill because it's an issue Donald Trump can run on. Like, how do the CNN and MSNBC watchers see that every day and not be like, something's going on here? Like, it has to be exhausting to be that stupid.
Oh, no doubt. But that border policy that Biden put forth only gives them money to hire more Border Patrol agents that allows them to process these illegal criminals through faster. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with this if these people were going to be a productive part of our society, but they're not. These are gang members, and the countries have admitted this. These are gang members, criminals that they've released from their prisons, mental patients that they've released from their mental institutions that they are sending over here. And it's not that these people were coming over here on their own. The countries are sending them here.
Right.
So
yeah, they're actually, the Biden regime is flying them in from their own countries now, we're learning, and flying them all the way over here. So this is not asylum seekers. This is an invasion, and we need to start calling it an invasion. There may be some good people that are coming over, but there are a lot of bad people, and we don't vet these people whatsoever. We just let everyone come in. We know that there are terrorists in this country now. You see how many Chinese that are coming in, Chinese nationals that are military-age fighting men. Same from the Middle East. We have the same thing, military-age fighting men coming over from countries that hate us, that would kill every single one of us if they got the opportunity. We're allowing these people in. We're putting them in fancy hotels for free, letting them travel wherever they want to in the country, completely paid for by the taxpayers. It's just that I cannot believe that they have not impeached Biden yet, and this is on the Republicans.
Oh, you better believe it.
Even if it goes nowhere in the Senate, you still hammer away at this every day. Trump got impeached for a phone call. And we haven't impeached this guy yet for allowing and contributing to an invasion at our southern border. It's like, what in the hell are the Republicans doing?
I have a big problem with that because there's a do nothing, and
serious problem with it.
I made comments on Jim Jordan's site on X today because he kept saying,
I do it all the time too.
We're questioning this. We want documents from here. But I just read one, and this is off the topic here, that Mary Garland, and I think I was going to put this out tomorrow, Mary Garland refused to hand over the recordings from the Biden when he was questioned by her.
Right.
He's refusing to hand it over.
Well, subpoena him.
They did, and he's defying the subpoena to hand it over. So
hold him in contempt. Hold him in contempt.
And this is what I keep telling Jim Jordan and them, and said, then do something about it. We're sick and tired of waiting.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Along with back with the border, we are seeing the impact, especially in American cities that are dubbed sanctuary cities by Democrat politicians. You see the infrastructure is crumbling. but more importantly is the migrant crime wave. And this is a crime wave, and people, they want to keep, the Democrats keep saying that the crime rate is going down. It's not going down. The Democrat run cities are not reporting the crimes to make it look like the crime rate's going down. So that is not the same thing. When you idiot liberals want to sit there and believe them, you're stupid as hell.
Yeah. All I got to say to anybody that really believes that the crime wave in these cities are down, I would ask them one question. Would you feel safe with your young son or daughter walking alone at night in those streets? If your answer is no, then crime is up. That is a fact. Or would you feel safe? Ask women this. Just women. Would you feel safe walking by yourself on the streets of New York City?
Well, they can't even do it
I
during the
guarantee.
day.
Yeah, that's right. Even during the day, they're getting slapped in the face from what we're seeing on TikTok. It's
Yep.
just, of course, they're going to say they don't feel safe because crime is rampant in these cities right now. No, nobody believes it's down. We see footage every day from women getting slapped in the face, just people randomly walking down the street getting the hell beat out of them,
Yep.
to lunatics pushing people in front of the subway onto the subway tracks, or
Yep.
opening fire in the subway. It's just, that doesn't seem like crime's down. They need to go back to what Rudy Giuliani did when he was mayor of New York City, because crime was way down in New York City when Giuliani was mayor.
Yep. And talking about crime, we got crime concerns grow as members of a violent Venezuelan gang arrive in American cities. They are now here in our country, and people want to keep sitting there saying that there's no problem with crime. But as thousands of Venezuelans fleeing from the Maduro regime seek refuge in the United States, members of the violent gang that has already triggered crime waves in a number of Latin American countries are hiding among us, causing concern among U.S. officials, fearing that they now seek to set up shop in major American cities. This is a gang. They're called the Tren de Argoa gang, and they are in Chile. They are in multiple countries, and they are the biggest, most ruthless gang out there, next to like MS-13s. And this is
Yeah,
the stuff that has to be stopped.
yeah, we got plenty of MS-13 gang members in this country as well. Actually, Tucker Carlson did a special on this when he was still at Fox, on Fox Nation, and there were a lot of these MS-13 gang members that committed some of the most horrific crimes you could think of, and they're getting out of prison and they're coming right to the United States because our border is wide open. These people could be right here in little old Greene County, Pennsylvania, for all we know. It's just, this is not going to stay isolated in the cities, is what people need to understand. This is an invasion. These people are going to be everywhere. And that this is another aspect of this invasion that a lot of people are not thinking of. The electoral college votes in this country do not go off registered voters. They go off the census. So it doesn't even go off legal citizens. I think this is another strategy for them to cheat. They're sending them to places like Pennsylvania, California. This is why they're sending them to these places in particular. Yes, they're sending them to Texas and Florida, trying to flip those states blue, of course, but a lot of them are going to blue areas, and I think that is the reason. So they could really, and you get more congressional seats, by the way, off that too. So it's all off the census. I think this is another strategy for them to steal an election and retain power for probably ever.
Most definitely. But a lot of these Venezuelan gangs are released from prison there to become and expanding to become sort of an umbrella organization for other gangs. And this is the stuff that they're afraid of, that they're going to be setting up here. And this is the stuff that why we have to get out and vote. We have to get the Democrats out of power. We have to shut everything down that these guys are doing. We can't afford this.
Absolutely.
If we do not win this election, we are definitely screwed. So that's why Brendan and I are doing these videos, to get the truth out to you guys. That's why we ask you, please go to our channels on Rumble. Mine is Country Conservative. Brendan is Brendan Statler Show.
That's right.
And check out our videos, share our videos, get them out there, get people to join us here on live. And so they can hear what's actually going on, because you're not going to get this from the fake news media.
No.
And that's why we try to pick up stories that they're not putting out to show you guys what is actually going on, because I know a lot of you guys have cut the cable. You don't watch news or anything like that. My wife and them, they don't watch the news. And so they're not aware of what's going on except for what I have to tell them. So please check out our channels. Don't forget to follow us and help us get our word out to people, get the truth out to people about getting out and voting. If you've already passed your primary, the general election's coming up in November, and we're not that far away. This is what we have to do.
No, we got a very important primary, particularly here in Pennsylvania.
It's coming up.
Yeah, this is a big election. Nobody can sit out primaries either. So even though President Trump has the nomination, there are a lot. There's a lot more than just the president on the ballot. These are some important races, and taking back your nation is not just at the presidency. It all starts at the local level. We have to purge these corrupt politicians, politically speaking anyway, at the local level before they can move up and perfect their game even more. So, you need to start at the local level. I've been telling everybody this for probably a year and a half. How long have I been doing this now? But it all starts at the local level. You can't do anything about Washington, D.C. until you clean up your own backyard. And believe me, if you're listening in Greene County right now, I guarantee you Waynesburg, Pennsylvania is just as corrupt, if not more corrupt, than Washington, D.C. I guarantee it.
Okay, well, getting back to the southern border. Now, you got bombs and stuff that $7 billion worth of equipment was left over in Afghanistan from Biden's disastrous withdrawal. Now, guess where those bombs and stuff are at? They are in the hands of the Mexican cartel.
Of course.
They are trading access to our country to the Mexican cartel, and the Mexican cartel are arming them. Now, that makes for an issue, because under the veil of darkness, in an exclusive video that Texas DPP has made, and I didn't get that video. Yes, I did. I did get a video on that. But what's that on there for? I'll get that one up there. I had the wrong one up there. But I'm going to show you this real quick video here. And it's not a quick video. It's about 1:51 long. But this is so important because they are worried about the weaponry already being in our country. They think that the cartel has brought these across from the known gotaways, the almost 2 million known gotaways. And they think the weapons are already there. So guys, pay attention to this.
According to the U.S. Inspector General for the Reconstruction of Afghanistan, a U.S. government entity, an estimated $7 billion of new equipment was left behind, in addition to another $18 billion of equipment we gave the Afghan National Army.
We have seen some of the ground-to-air munitions, and those are the ones that initially we saw them crossing the borders of Pakistan and India, and we saw them in that area of fighting. Then we saw them deploy in Yemen.
I think some people are going to be scratching their head going, how in the heck did Afghanis get into communication with cartels to sell?
Many of these armed dealers are taking that equipment and smuggling, just like we see the smuggling of precursors for fentanyl from China. We have seen the smuggling of weapons in merchandise in containers from China, from other parts of the world to Mexico, and this is how they're bringing all this armament back to our backyard.
And keeping these explosives and weapons out of the U.S. is also of concern, according to Jimenez.
Unfortunately, we're sitting in a moment in time where we do have an open border. We have a mess in the border. 80% of the Border Patrol agents are tasked with administrative jobs. So when we used to have 50 Border Patrol agents in an area holding the line, now you don't have 50. Now you may have 10. And 40 are back in the office working an administrative job.
Now you see what I'm talking about? That the Mexican cartel, as they diversify their operations, the stakes of fighting these cartels have grown even higher now because of the Biden's failures. And this is stuff that we have to stop. Biden has been a failure his whole political career, and he's even worse as an installed president.
Right. Yeah, and you know that they have these weapons now, but God forbid you or me have an AR-15. And when you think about it, this is exactly what they want. They want to disarm the people and let these dangerous thugs in, so we can't fight back. That is why they go after guns so much. It's so we're all helpless. Because if we're helpless, they retain power forever. You don't believe me? Just look north of our border. Look at what is happening in Canada currently. Canada is a police state, and we're not that far behind. The only thing that separates us from Canada is our Second Amendment. They do not have a Second Amendment up in Canada, as far as I know. As far as I know, they do not technically have the right to keep and bear arms, but I'm not a scholar on Canadian rights, so don't quote me on that exactly. But that's the biggest thing that separates us, and I would say that they probably don't, because Justin Trudeau, aka Fidel Castro Jr., has made it just about impossible to even have basic hunting rifles in Canada. But, you know, that's what's coming here. Remember when Joe Biden was talking about 9mm ammo, that it was a high caliber round, that it would actually blow out people's lungs or whatever he said exactly. Now, 9mm is the most common round of ammunition. It is the most common round. You know, it's just it's funny how in your face and up in your grill these draconian measures are, because as I said yesterday, the media is going to cover for them, but this is exactly what they want. This is all coordinated. Everybody looks at this as chaos and incompetence. This is exactly what they want to have happen. This is exactly what they want to have happen. You know, you look at the cities in particular, New York City and Chicago, where crime is the worst. They have some of the strictest gun laws. You know, you remember the football player years ago, Plexico Burress, when he played for the New York Giants. This shortly after they won the Super Bowl, I believe. He accidentally shot himself in this nightclub or whatever in New York City. He actually went to prison for that, for carrying a gun in a bar. Now, I know that that's illegal everywhere, but most people do not do prison time, as far as I know, for this, at least the amount of time that he did for this. This is how strict the gun laws are in these cities, and they've gotten worse as time has gone on. And, you know, it's no wonder you have crime. You know, you have these illegal gang members coming here, along with the people we already had here that, you know, don't care about law and order because, you know, they've been given a free pass to burn, loot, and murder. Black Lives Matter. You know, this is what happens. This is what happens, and they want this to happen everywhere. That's why it's looking like, at least, that this hotel in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, that they fixed up, there's rumors going around, and I don't know if it's confirmed, but I've heard from pretty credible sources that they are getting ready to house illegal aliens in this hotel right here in Waynesburg. This is what is happening. So it's coming to your backyard if it's not already. So it's time to stand up and resist this with everything we got.
Most believe it, because they can't even keep track of the people that are coming across here when they do come across
No.
at the port of entries. They've lost people in the cities on top of the 200,000 that DHS decided, well, we're not going to do the paperwork. So they dismissed over 200,000 illegal criminals cases. And now they're just set free on the streets to run amok for what they want to do. But approximately 500,000, if not more, illegal criminals, plus including the 85,000 children that Biden trafficked around the country, they can't find. So
They just
how does
don't want to find them.
Right. So how does Mayorkas lose track of these criminals and the children? And that's just what I have a big problem with, is nobody's asking the questions about the kids. That is my issue. That would be the most important issue. Okay, the 500,000 adults, yeah, that's a big issue, but 85 unaccompanied minor children are missing in our country. So where the hell are they?
Yeah, and the thing is, they could find these people, these illegals that are in our country right now, if they would just take the shackles off local law enforcement throughout the country and they would work with them. But that's the problem. They've hamstrung the police essentially, and they can't properly do their job. And especially in a lot of these cities, they've been defunded. There's no possible way they could do it, being defunded and the federal government just not letting them do their jobs. This is another reason why we need President Trump back in. Trump said when he was speaking in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I think this was last week, when he got an endorsement from the police union there in Michigan, he said that he's going to try to work on federal pensions for police officers throughout the country so they can properly do their job, so the state cannot threaten to take away their pension, so they could get rid of these illegal criminals that are in our country. So it all comes down to the defund the police movement and all these crooked politicians just not allowing police to do their work. If they would work with police officers at the local level, they could get all these people out. They really could. I'm not going to say it's going to happen overnight. It's going to be a snap of a finger and all these people are going to get out, but they would get it done, I think, a lot quicker than people think. I think they already have a pretty good idea of where most of these people are. They can't do anything. They've been hamstrung.
Yeah, give me a bus. I'll go around and pick them up, and I'll take them the hell back to Texas where they came across and shove their asses into the Rio Grande. This is ridiculous. And if we get Trump back into office, the deportations will start no matter what. They will get round up. They'll shove on a bus.
Day one, it'll start. Yep. Day one, it'll start if Trump gets back in.
And this is why we got to get everybody out to vote. That's one of the reasons. That's not the only reason, but we've got to get this country back. We've got to get justice back. Justice has to be blind, or is supposed to be blind. It's not. It's so corrupt right now. It's unreal. And there's other stuff that has been going on that I saw that for Trump, that these corrupt judges, every one of them that are complicit in the persecution of Trump, they need charged. They need held accountable for everything that's going on, because this is uncalled for. You even have other judges that are saying none of this should be happening. This has never happened ever to a president.
Right.
And this is what we got to stop.
And I think I saw, I can't remember what case it was actually. I'd have to go back and look, but I think it's the Hush Money trial. It's hard to keep up with all the phony trials going on right now. But they're talking to jurors, and they're actually saying they cannot ask them about their political affiliation or their voting history to be on the jury for a case against Donald Trump. It's like, isn't that something that you think you should be asking? What do you have any prejudice towards Donald Trump? I mean, I think that's a fair question to ask when selecting a jury pool that involves Donald Trump.
Well, since you mentioned that, I did get an email today. Come on, you stupid thing. Here's the questions that potential jurors were asked for Trump's upcoming trial. And I don't think it should be allowed to be asked. Whoops. And I'll get this going. My mouse is running real slow here for some reason. It shouldn't be. There we go. And I was going to put this off until later, but you brought it up. So here we go. Let me find the questions here. I'll get out of here. The super pop-ups. Okay, here we go. Here's a question. Are you signed up for, or have you ever been signed up for, or subscribed to, or followed any newsletter or email list served, run by, or on behalf of Mr. Trump or the Trump Organization? That's one. Do you currently follow Donald Trump on any social media sites, or have you in the past? Have you, a relative or a close friend, ever worked or volunteered for any and Trump group or organization? So what's it matter if your family members have worked for Trump's organizations? Now, do you have any feelings of opinions about how Mr. Trump is being treated in this case? These are just some funny ass questions. What's the other one here? Can you give us your assurance that you will decide this case solely on the evidence you see and hear in this courtroom and the law as the judge gives it?
In New York City, by the way. Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
So
not happening. He can't get a fair He can't get a fair trial in New York City or Washington, D.C., and everybody knows it because these are two areas that are completely liberal and anti-Trump. He's got a better chance of getting one in New York out of the two, of course, but I still don't like his chances very much, let's just say. A lot of these cases should be sequestered or not sequestered.
The jury should
yeah, that's what I mean. They should be sequestered, but they should be moved somewhere else. This should not be taking place in New York City or Washington, D.C., because they know that they're going to convict him. He can't get a fair trial in this, especially when you are someone like Donald Trump, that a man who was president and is looking to be president again. Just about everybody has an opinion on Donald Trump. So this is this is a difficult process anyway. Pretty much everybody has an opinion on Trump. Either you love him or you hate him, or very few people are in the middle of that issue.
You just so happen to bring that one up. That word you said, opinions. Now the last question, for these guys: do you have any strong opinions or firmly held beliefs about former President Trump, or the fact that he is a current candidate for president that would interfere with your ability to be fair and impartial jury? Who the hell in New York is going to answer that question? Yes.
Right.
So these are some dumbass questions that the jury should come from another state and not pick from New York. And the judge should not even be from New York. And especially that idiot Ingeron, because he has shown bias already before the trial even started. His wife has even showed bias against Trump. So right there's two facts that should have had him off the case from the get-go, but it didn't happen.
He was the same judge that was like posing for the picture, right? Like he was he was a reject from the series The Office or something. He was doing it like it was a sitcom. But I guess this is all theater to these people. You know what I mean? It's all a game. It's all for show. It's just it's all to try to demonize Trump. Like all these cases are ridiculous. Like these have to be some of the weakest cases that you could possibly bring in somebody. And you know what? It really says a lot about Donald Trump. If this is what they're trying to get you on, dude, you either got to be either squeaky clean or you're incredibly freaking smart, and you covered your tracks every which way possible. If this is what they're getting you on, like the hush money payment, like what are they saying that he did illegal anyway? That he used campaign funds to pay Stormy Daniels hush money?
Yeah,
There's
the main
really nothing illegal about that.
they're saying he falsified paperwork on it. He did not falsify anything because all he did was pay attorney fees.
Right.
And the hush money part of it is not illegal in New York.
No, and you could look at that as a campaign finance. You know, you want to keep a story out, and he wants to keep it from his family and his wife, probably. I mean, it's, you know, I don't see what the big deal is. And I said this from the beginning when that story first came out. Who cares he slept with a porn star and cheated on his wife and all this stuff, and he paid her hush money to shut up about it? It's just, well, the biggest thing is Stormy Daniels took that money. So,
Yep. And
so what's the argument here? I don't.
None.
And the overvaluing his property, that is probably the worst of the worst. There's no standing for that case. There's nothing. There's no argument whatsoever. None.
Everybody does it.
Yeah,
everybody does it, and it's up to the bank to decide that stuff.
Yeah, these people really think that the bank just gave Donald Trump whatever dollar amount he said that his money was worth, that his property was worth.
On his word.
Yeah, on his word. They didn't do their due diligence and look into it. It's just, and even if they did, even if that is what happened, which we all know didn't, but let's just say that it did. Well, it's not only their choice. Donald Trump paid every setback, including the interest. So where is the crime?
There is none.
So it really doesn't matter how much money they gave him. He paid the loan back with interest. So even if he overvalued it by just using a ridiculous number, $200 million, the bank gave him $200 million. He paid that back with the interest. No crime.
Right. They got enough crime to worry about with all these illegal criminals that are in their state, sleeping on the streets, robbing people, attacking people, assaulting officers, killing officers. And this is why the little town in Texas called Eagle Pass, where all this started from, they're a town of a little over 28,000 people. And they have had to grapple with these illegal criminals from the start. I don't know how they dealt with every bit of these problems. They've had more illegal criminals come across the border over there than what they have in people that live in that country, in that town. So I want you to watch this little video here real quick that shows you a lot of what's been happening in Eagle Pass. Watch this. Okay, what happened to my video here?
I would say it's not playing on my end.
No. Ah, man. Wow, it's not, none of them's working right now. Let me see if this will come up. And none of my other stuff's coming up. What is going on here?
It's a good thing we're so talented. We don't need videos, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. This just doesn't make sense what's happening here. Because
it works pre-production. As soon as we go live, it starts acting wacky.
Well, I did have a video on it, and now it's not going. And none of my other pop-ups that I have, even my article headlines, are coming up either for some reason. So that's pretty strange. But yes, they've got more people coming over across the border than what they have living in their little town there. And I just don't know how they actually did and do the job that they're doing, along with these border agents. You know, they are on the front lines, working their asses off, grueling hours to secure our borders and protect all of us. Not only Texas, they're protecting us too.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure.
What kind of toll does this take on their brains, mentally? It seems nobody ever wants to talk about that. These guys work their asses off, and for a bloodbath, Biden's bloodbath border, and what do? They don't help these guys at all. They put more and more on them, due to the disastrous border policies implemented by the Department of Homeland Security and that idiot Alejandro Mayorkas that has been impeached. That I did hear that they were supposed to bring up in the Senate Mayorkas's impeachment. Now
Yeah,
I
I think it's is it it wasn't today, it's tomorrow, is it? Do I have that right?
I didn't get a chance to look. I was too busy running around today.
It's definitely going to get killed in the Senate anyway. There's nobody's going to vote for that in the Senate, unfortunately.
Well,
He-
some of the Democrats are really not behind this disaster bloodbath border
yeah.
because of what's all the crime that's going on, because they know what the real crime numbers are, and they are just
Oh
not
yeah.
putting them out. So they're kind of pissed that what is going on, and Joe Biden is doing nothing about it, and he can stop this in a second
Yep.
by taking
Absolutely.
this pen and signing that executive order and shutting down that border, close it off until they get control of this. But he will not, because he's a miserable piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Trump secured the border through executive order when he got in office, and Biden reversed it through executive order when he got in office. It was one of his many uh, draconian executive orders. How many did he sign? Like 30 or something on day one. I forget the actual number, but it was a ridiculous amount. So the point is, Biden got us into this through executive order. He doesn't need a bill to come out of Congress. That is a lie. He could do it right now if he really wanted to. He could shut down the border and he could have mass deportations like Donald Trump is talking about doing if he wanted to. All he has to do is sign an executive order, because that's Donald Trump's plan when he gets back in the office. He said that's going to be the first thing he does as soon as he takes his hand off the Bible. There's going to be an executive order securing the border completely and mass deportations of all these illegal criminals. Joe Biden could do that right now if he wanted to, but he doesn't.
Oh, most definitely. And you got Texas Governor Abbott saying migrants are pawns to Biden.
Yeah,
Texas Governor Abbott
absolutely.
defended his position to bus migrants to sanctuary cities after being accused of toying with people's lives, responding to a clip which New York City Mayor Eric Adams, a piece of shit that he is, offered for Abbott to stay in one of his migrant shelters, but not before warning the Texas governor not to displace problems onto local municipalities. Well, that's what sanctuary cities are. That is what the Biden administration is doing by not closing this border off. He's putting on to Texas local municipalities. So Governor Abbott has no choice to do what he's doing, and I applaud for him for everything that he does.
Right, and I like what Governor Abbott's doing now, but I think he was really late to the party on this one. I think that the measures he has taken recently, I think he should have been doing 3 years ago. I think he really slow walked this whole process. But I guess better late than never. I just wish it would have happened sooner. But as funny as it is seeing these people go to Martha's Vineyard or whatever else, like DeSantis and Abbott have both done, I I would send them back over the border. I would let the federal government come after me for it. I mean, seriously, what
What are they
argument
going
are
to
you
do?
going to make? Yeah, yeah. What are they going to do? Let's, take me to court over it. That would be my message if I was Abbott or DeSantis. I'd be like, you're not coming through my state.
Right.
I'm securing my state. You're
Yep.
not. We're not allowing illegals to come over. They're going right back over the border.
Yep.
If they come through Texas, that would be my message from day one. If I was Greg Abbott, I would have went to court over it if I had to. If the Biden regime threatened me with lawfare, that's the game I would have played. I'm not letting them into the country. They're not coming into the country because of me. Is the point I'm making?
Oh, well, Abbott did what the law was telling him to do at first.
Right.
And that's the way the Republicans are.
Yeah, I know.
Democrats go straight to lawlessness. They are the party of
Right.
lawlessness. They always will be. But you're right. They should turn them all away. Say, nope. You want to go
Yep.
somewhere? Go up to Arizona.
Yep, that would be my message. I would, and I think it says, I don't know. I'd have to look into this. I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but I think I heard somewhere it says that Texas does have the right to secure their own border from invasion. That's one of the things in the state constitution, I believe. I think I heard somebody else say that. I'm not 100% that's true. I'd have to look into that. But you know, it would make sense because Texas was its own country before joining the Union, and they could very easily secede if they wanted to. So it wouldn't be that far-fetched to say that that is in their state constitution, but that's exactly what I would do. I would say they're not coming in. I would send them back over to Mexico. And if I had to, I would threaten secession. I would in that situation. You're not going to let my people get invaded with these thugs.
Yep.
That would be my message if I ran for governor in Texas. If I was governor of Texas.
Yeah, they could shut the whole damn thing down then if they do.
I would. Yeah, I absolutely would.
You're talking because he was talking about Eric Adams, but you know, NYPD cops that are murdered mirror a larger nation pattern. Repeat offenders committing violent crimes are being released with no bail whatsoever. In the doors of justice in cities like New York, Chicago, California, Washington, D.C., they have softened the bail laws and will continue to release dangerous individuals into the public unless you're an American criminal, and then they throw the book at you and you're paying bail out the ass. And
especially if you're a conservative Trump supporter, then they're really going to come after you.
Oh, most definitely, because you spend years behind bars with no due process, and we still got guys sitting in DC Gitmo that have not had any due process and are still waiting for a court hearing. Yeah, but that's what happens when you're an American citizen now and you're not a Biden supporter, because they lock your ass away to keep you shut up.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just crazy what's happening right now. It's just just to see the two-tier system of justice. You know, people hear that every day, but when you really, you know, stop and look at everything, that's exactly what is happening. You know, look at how people on the right are persecuted under the law versus the party of burn, loot, and murder. All these people that burn cities down in honor of their hero, I guess I could say, George Floyd, during Floydapalooza. You know, these people were hailed as as an inspiration within the media. But the great grandmother that prayed in the Capitol on January 6th, they call us all domestic terrorists. It's just, you can't make this up.
Yep, and this is what's going to happen if we don't do something with this election. So that's what our videos are mainly about, but we're trying to get some more information out to you guys. But our main concern here is winning the November general election.
Absolutely.
Regaining our country, getting the laws back into our country, getting the corruption out of DC. And that should be anybody's and everybody's main thoughts when it comes to the election time. Because I would like to know if we could get any liberals to come on here, if they have the balls enough to do it, and tell me anything that you like and what you like about this demented old fool Joe Biden sitting in the White House.
And don't bring up Trump. Don't bring up Trump. We want to hear about Biden specifically.
Yes. What is good? What has he done good for this country? And if you can tell me that, and if you got the balls to come on here and tell us, and it's not going to be, we're not going to bash you, but I'm going to prove to you everything that you say is wrong or it's a lie, because you're sitting there believing everything these idiots tell you. And if you're listening to that Karine Jean-Pierre, that dumb bitch lies just as much as Biden.
Who's worse, Karine Jean-Pierre or Jen Psaki? It's pretty close. I'm going with KGP's worse. It's close though.
Jen Psaki was I'll get back to you on that, but she was
circle
a good
back
liar.
To that.
Yeah, she circled back, and she didn't have to fumble through a book with all these notes and tabs on it that to get her answer. Because if you notice, KJP will sit there, she'll be flipping through, going, we're very clear on this. these some bitches haven't been cleared day one in office. They
No,
said
it's
they were. Go ahead.
good. Well, I was going to say it's clear she's a diversity hire. You know, they're the party of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you know that's actually not what DEI stands for. You know what DEI really stands for, Charlie?
What's that? I do know the answer, but what's your answer?
Didn't earn it. That's what it means. It means didn't earn it. She didn't earn the job. They hired her because she's black and she's a lesbian. That is the only reason she has a job. And you look at her every day. It's clear she is not qualified for this job. But, you know, she fits perfectly with the Biden team.
Oh,
she
most
fits
definitely.
perfectly with them.
Most definitely. But that's going to be a wrap for us tonight, guys. So remember that the border isn't just a line on a map. It's a tapestry of lives, dreams, and struggles. So please stay tuned for more episodes. And until then, keep your hearts open and your mind curious. But thank you for joining us on this journey. This has been a Conservative Viewpoint. I'm Charlie. Good night, everyone.
I'm Brendan Statler from the Brendan Statler Show. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night.